Good afternoon. Tony Dattino here, founder of the USA Memory Championship, and still recovering from our 26th event. That was as exciting as any, and a winner being a first timer and appreciating what it was about. And still with some emotional content in my brain as to his thoughts and feelings about entering and winning. But in that regard, we talk about memory. And in the October issue that comes out of Mind, Mood, and Memory from the Massachusetts General Hospital, there's an interesting heading here, if you can see this. Testing your memory and what to know about cognitive screening. And there's nothing that worries a person more, in all of my experience in dealing with hospitals and patients and talking with groups and seniors where I've done workshops, than worrying about losing their memory. And when do we think we're losing our memory? When do we get anxious about thinking about losing our memory? And when do we really begin to lose our memory? And it is extremely important that we understand that as we get older and we get preoccupied with so many things that are going on in our lives, we may be overstressing and overcomplicating ourselves as it relates to our memories. And so there may be times when we need to understand, well, what are some of the cognitive screenings or tests that we may make, or when might we be overzealous in our self-diagnosis? And I know for myself, I've had a number of surgeries, and the anesthesia they give you for that has been linked to losing some of your memory. And so after my last surgery, and you get this wonderful, oh good, they put a needle in you, and then off comes count to 10, 9, 8, and you go off to Never Never Land in this wonderful sleep, not realizing all that wonderful sleep, which is not an addiction for me. It's like, God, do I really need to do these tests? But to realize that as those anesthesias, those drugs in the anesthesia have an impact on your brain cells, because what they obviously are doing is going to your brain and saying, put this person asleep and take them out of pain, so we can do whatever surgery or test or procedure that we need to do. So after my last one, I started to notice that I was forgetting the names of people that I should know, people that I've done business with, people that I've associated with, and I find myself, wow, I don't remember that name, and yet I know that person. I should remember their name. So there's a whole backlog that comes in. Your mind starts to go with this thing and starts to make things up. Now, I know there are times when I've misplaced my keys. And so my keys are misplaced, and I thought, okay, where did I leave my keys? Well, if there are things you can do for misplacing your keys, they're real simple. Being preoccupied and focused or stressed and forgetting, not focusing. Focus, the word is focus, where you've put them down or where you've placed them until you need them again. And then if you just come in and you're busy and you've got the kids, you got the phone, or you got your cell phone, or you're trying to drop something off, or you got to get out and give somebody something in the mail, there's a whole lot of craziness that goes on. And in the course of that craziness, you're not focused on where you've dropped your keys until you need them the next time. You start the rush. And therefore, that's not a memory loss. That is a focus loss. It's like, okay, I was busy. I didn't take the time to focus on where I was putting my keys down, and I didn't put them in the same place where I always do. Shame on you. And so therefore, the simple solution is have an anchor where you always put your keys and put them in that same place. As soon as you walk in the door, put them on a hook, put them by a cabinet, put them in the same place every day. And therefore, you don't have to work your memory out the next time you're stressed or worried. You just say, I'm automatic pilot. I go right back to the counter. I go right back to the hook on side of the door, and I go back to this drawer, and the keys will always be there. Similar goes when you park your car. How many times have we parked our car? Recently, this has been happening to me because I've got so many things that are on my mind. That I have the memory championship, and I've got some medical tests, and I've got some family things that I'm focused and stressing on a little bit. And so if you park your car in a big parking lot like we have here at Universal Studios or at SeaWorld or at Disney, any of the Disney parks, my goodness, if you ever park your car in the Magic Kingdom parking lot, or you go to Epcot and put it there, or you go to any of them, Animal Kingdom or even the Hollywood Studios, my goodness, if you're not focused on where you're parking your car, and Disney tries to help you with that, they give you characters to do, they give you aisles, they have the tram driver remind you of where you parked your car. If all of that's going in and out of your ears and you're not locking any of it in, it isn't a memory problem, it's a focus problem, and you've never stored it, and therefore you've never locked into your brain where you parked your car. And so these are some of the things: lost keys, memory, a shopping list. I've gotten to the point now where, you know what, I put things down on paper. In the past, I used to use a Roman room system and then anchor that, and then when I did my shopping, I'd follow the Roman room. And as I stress about some of the things going on in my family life, I find myself having to be a little bit more intentional and paying attention to remember and lock in the things I want to remember. And so this article comes in and says, well, testing your memory, what to know about cognitive screenings. And they go through this whole series of steps. The primary goal is to catch an early stage of cognitive disorder or condition that may be affecting your memory. And what you want to be doing is that these changes in skills may be caused by reversible conditions. So that's the real proactive side to this article, which is like, whoa. What you want to be able to do is distinguish: when have I misplaced my keys and I just wasn't focused? When did I misplace parking my car and getting focused too? Some of these things are real, and what I want to do is get an early diagnosis and an early stage of things that are affecting my memory and my thinking. And so therefore, I want to know a little bit more about, well, what are some of the things that I can do? So a cognitive test is administered in the doctor's office trying to assess your cognition. And that may be memory, your judgment of things that you're doing. Somebody's talking you into buying something that doesn't seem to be sensible or logical. Your decision-making capabilities. Where have you done some financial decisions, or where have you done some things at work that didn't make sense? Your learning, understanding, and your overall thinking. And so the tests are typically answering basic questions and performing simple tasks, such as you may draw a clock at a particular time, or you just may need to relax when you're in a doctor's office going through this process. And then there are, so again, you just want to, hey, this is cool, I don't have to study for this, and I just need to be myself. And one of the tests that we've run into quite a bit with people is the MoCA test, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. And the MoCA test is supposed to be able to start to predict if you have cognitive impairment. But what we've seen with people that we've gone through this, and we've given them a little bit of skill building on memory and how to back that into the MoCA test, their scores rocket, and they do subsequently very well. And it kind of flabbergasted the doctor that was making a diagnosis that they thought that they had a problem with mental impairment, when actually they had a problem with never learning how to improve their memory at whatever their age. So there's one interesting test in this article was called 5 cognitive tests in a 5-minute screening that consisted, and this one just kind of threw me. Okay, there's 5 cognitive tests that focus on your attention, your memory, your visuospatial, your language, and your reasoning. And then there's an 8-test interview that differentiates aging and dementia, administered to a family member who was asked to note whether there had been changes in your behaviors, such as repeating questions or stories, or showing less interest in hobbies or activities, or forgetting appointments or information. And I tell you, I look at some of these things, and that just could be a spot of loneliness and isolation and leading to depression and anxiety. That has nothing to do with your memory, but it's got to do with where you are in life and how you're processing. So as I read this article, I kind of walk away and say, my God, for at least half the people that I've encountered over the 30 years I've been doing this work, half of them have issues that can be resolved and can be settled, and issue just around talking to the person and learning about where they see themselves in their life at a particular point in time. And at some point, yes, 50% of people need to go for some cognitive screenings, because getting in front of this really is more helpful and proactive in trying to push it out and keep you functioning as well as you can, especially in knowing who your family members are, those that you love and care for. And off we go. It's another Wednesday, come and go. We're in the middle of the week, and it's what they call the hump day, I guess. But in any case, a few more days and we'll be back to another weekend. And we're between football now and baseball. We're finishing up with the WNBA, and we're going to be starting with the NBA soon. And hockey will be starting, and next thing you know, we'll be having more sports than we know what to do with. So hopefully you'll remember the names of your favorite players and your favorite teams, and we'll see you back here on Friday.